when I was growing up, my mom took us to church, and I went to a Catholic church, and I was baptized, and I went through communion and everything, but there was never that connection to God. It was just a thing that I did, and I didn't know how it fit in with my life. And so when we moved away from that church, we kind of moved away from God. And when I went to college, that move from God got even further. My mom, she instilled some things as far as, praying and stuff like that, but it wasn't a lifestyle.
I had a genuine faith in God, and I wanted my girls to love God like I did. And I guess they got to a certain age where it's not the popular thing, the fun thing, the cool thing to go to church. And so I sort of took an attitude, well, if it's meant to be, they'll come back to God. If it's not meant to be, I was just too much on the fence about it. And so I didn't push anybody, not including myself, to try to have a relationship with God. In fact, I didn't even know that you could have a relationship with God.
So I was at the fair with my 3 sisters and myself, and it was late at night, and we just got something to eat, and we sat down, and we see all these lights flashing around, and we hear music, and we're like, what's that? And so my sisters and I walked over, and there was dancing on the stage, and I was a dancer, so I'm like, hey, yeah, let's sit down and watch. And we ended up sitting down and watching for the entire night until you guys were closing the tent up. And we ended up coming back, I think, the rest of the nights of the fair and just sat there and watched. It was not us going to the fair to ride the rides or eat the food. We wanted to go and see what was going on in the tent. I was not in college. I had actually just dropped out of college a semester before because things in my life were just going downhill. And I was dating someone, and it was not a healthy relationship. And so inside I was desiring a love that I was not seeing in reality. And when I saw people on the stage and they were free, people got up and they were talking about their testimonies and sharing the gospel. And it was in a way that I had never seen someone express that about God. And I wanted a piece of that. I don't remember where that timeline was with us going to the fair and then ending up going to church. I don't remember if someone gave us a handout, but somehow we found ourselves in service. And it was actually the service that one of the families had lost a member of their family very recently. The atmosphere is, you could tell it was a family, that people cared about each other. And I didn't know, who was related to who, but everyone was just so sad and mourning together as a family. And my sisters and I, we just felt like a part, even though we had just met everyone. I felt something in my heart that day that I wanted to come back and see what it was that those people on the stage were, dancing and singing about. When I first started coming, I was coming because I had that desire in my heart, but I think there was a deflection when I met a guy there and I started dating him. And when we ended things, that was, I think, for me, the biggest defining part in my relationship with God was, am I coming there for him or am I going there for God? And I think to me that was the defining part in my relationship, that I knew that Jesus was what I wanted in my life. And I continued to go despite my family not coming. And that was a struggle too. I felt like I was by myself, but I had the support of my friends and my family at the church to keep encouraging me, push forward in God, and you're going to see your family turn around.
I think it caused me to really look inwards at, how do I feel about faith? I saw something changing in her that was beautiful, and I know I didn't have that, and so I became curious about it. And we spoke about it, a little bit, but I had no concept of what she was talking about. So I needed to experience it for myself. And it took a while, but I finally did begin coming and seeing for myself what this God was. who God is.
Well, I was like, it's about time. I had been trying to get my family to come, and honestly, it came to a point when I talked to Pastor Nancy and I said, I can't keep going to visit them because I felt like I was backsliding every time I would visit. And I told my mom, I said, this is it. I'm not coming back home. If you want to come see me, you have to come to the church. And when she came to service, it was like something had opened in her heart. That it wasn't, I knew she wasn't coming for me, but like she really did want to know what it was that kept me coming. And so I was just really happy to see her come. And then, when the rest of my family started coming, it felt like, we were where we belonged. Well, growing up, my mom and I were always close, but I think being able to pray with my mom and share devotions with her to encourage her, it went from being mother and daughter to more of a friend relationship because, she was coming to me and saying, hey, Adrienne, can you pray for me? And I was going to her and saying, Mom, I'm really struggling with this. And she'd say, well, did you read this before? God's here for you. And I'm just really appreciative that it's become more of a friendship, and it's because of God.
I second that. Just the relationship between us has become so strong, so facets to it that I never knew could exist before. And we rejoice together, we cry together, we feel the same things at the same time. It's like we're of one heart together.
There have been a lot of people who have influenced me on my walk with God. Firstly, Pastor Nancy and the other leaders in the church is just having people to walk alongside you and to see those areas where you're struggling in and to encourage and pray with you has helped me to keep moving forward and not going backwards.
So for me, initially it was Adrienne, of course, and then all the leaders do a really, really good job of challenging you to think deeper, feel deeper, reach higher, reach harder, don't give up.
I guess when I first started coming, they were talking about Africa and showing pictures, and something in my heart just said, you need to go there. And I remember going to Pastor Nancy. I think I'd only been going to the church for 6 months. I said, Pastor Nancy, I want to go to Africa. And she's like, well, let's see. God will open the door when it's time. And the following year, about that time, Pastor Nancy came to me and she's like, an opportunity is open for you to go to Ghana, and you'd have to leave in like a month. And I was like, oh my gosh, like it didn't feel real. And so I was there for a few months, and God opened that opportunity again to go this past summer, and I spent a month there. And just God had used that in my life to draw closer to Him in that quiet time I had there. Along with that, I've been allowed a sense of direction in my life. I know before I came to Shippensburg, I was up, I was down, I was all around, and there was nothing rooting me. God solidified things in my heart and opened my eyes to things that I would not have considered before. I started going to school to pursue a degree in biology and chemistry, and I know when I was younger, it's not something that I would ever saw myself doing or believing that I could do it, but God, pushed me and opened those doors for me to pursue that.
I'm so thankful someone obeyed the call to go, because I'm enjoying life now. I'm enjoying the life I never knew existed until I surrendered to God.
I'm so thankful that someone obeyed the call to go, because it led me here to a place where I found a home, I found a life, I found a purpose, and I found a direction to go towards in the future.